Day 7 of the escalating war between the United States, Israel, and Iran has entered a dangerous and unpredictable phase. Missile sirens are echoing across multiple countries, air defense systems are operating at full capacity, and global leaders are scrambling to contain a conflict that now stretches far beyond its original borders. What began as targeted military exchanges has evolved into a multi-front confrontation involving regional powers, proxy forces, and global strategic interests. But what exactly has unfolded over the past 24 hours, and why are experts warning that the situation could spiral into an even wider regional crisis? Let's break down the latest developments shaping the Middle East conflict. If you want clear, fact-focused explanations of global conflicts without sensationalism or confusion, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our upcoming updates. The 7th day began with reports of renewed missile and drone activity across several areas linked to the confrontation. Iranian forces and allied groups launched coordinated attacks targeting strategic military sites, while US and Israeli forces continued their joint operations aimed at weakening Iran's military capabilities. Explosions were reported near key facilities connected to defense operations, sending shockwaves through cities already on edge. Air raid sirens forced civilians into shelters as defense systems work to intercept incoming threats. Each new strike has added another layer of tension to an already volatile environment. Military officials indicate that Iran has relied heavily on a combination of long-range missile systems and unmanned aerial vehicles to project force across borders. These systems allow attacks to be launched from deep inside territory while targeting installations hundreds of kilometers away. In response, Israel's layered air defense network, including advanced interception systems, has been activated repeatedly, attempting to neutralize incoming threats before they reach population centers or strategic bases. Despite interceptions, the sheer volume of projectiles has made the situation unpredictable, creating anxiety for civilians and commanders alike. At the same time, US forces have intensified operations aimed at dismantling infrastructure believed to support drone coordination and missile command structures. Reports suggest that precision strikes have targeted logistical hubs, radar installations, and suspected command centers used to manage cross-border operations. These actions are designed to reduce Iran's operational reach and deter further escalation. However, each new strike also raises the possibility of retaliation, feeding a cycle that becomes harder to break as tensions rise. What makes the current phase especially alarming is the expansion of the conflict beyond its initial battlefield. Iraq and Syria, long considered strategic crossroads in regional geopolitics, have once again become zones of heightened activity. Several US military installations in these countries have reported elevated alert levels following rocket and drone warnings. Iranian-aligned militia groups operating within these territories are believed to be increasing their readiness, adding another layer of complexity to an already crowded battlefield. The risk of miscalculation grows as more actors become directly or indirectly involved. Meanwhile, Lebanon has emerged as another focal point of tension. Israeli defense forces have increased aerial surveillance and strikes in areas suspected of hosting armed groups aligned with Iran. Authorities have issued warnings to residents in certain regions to remain alert or evacuate temporarily due to security risks. The expansion into Lebanon signals that the confrontation is no longer confined to two primary rivals, but is evolving into a wider regional power struggle that could destabilize neighboring countries. Beyond the battlefield, the conflict is generating global ripple effects. International airlines are rerouting flights to avoid Middle Eastern airspace, resulting in longer travel times and widespread logistical challenges. Insurance costs for cargo ships operating near critical maritime choke points have risen sharply as shipping companies assess potential risks. Markets are responding with volatility as investors weigh the possibility of disruptions to energy supply chains and trade routes. One of the most sensitive areas remains the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow but strategically vital waterway through which a significant portion of the world's oil supply passes. Any disruption in this corridor could send shockwaves through global energy markets. Naval forces in the region are now operating with increased vigilance to prevent incidents that might escalate into maritime confrontations. The presence of multiple military fleets navigating close proximity adds further tension to an already fragile environment. Diplomatic channels are also under strain. Governments across Europe, Asia, and the Middle East are calling for restraint while attempting to coordinate behind-the-scenes negotiations. Several nations have urged all parties to avoid actions that could endanger civilians or critical infrastructure. However, diplomatic efforts face significant challenges as each side seeks to demonstrate strength and deterrence. Communication breakdowns, rapid developments, and shifting alliances complicate attempts to stabilize the situation. For civilians caught in or near conflict zones, uncertainty has become part of daily life. Families in major cities have stocked emergency supplies and prepared safe rooms amid fears of unexpected strikes. Schools in some regions have suspended classes, and businesses are operating under limited hours due to safety concerns. Hospitals and emergency services are working around the clock to manage both routine needs and conflict-related injuries. Aid organizations warn that prolonged instability could disrupt access to food, water, and medical assistance for vulnerable populations. The psychological toll is equally significant. Constant alerts, explosions in the distance, and the unpredictability of developments have created widespread anxiety. Social media platforms are flooded with unverified footage and conflicting reports, making it difficult for civilians to separate reliable information from speculation. Authorities continue to urge calm while emphasizing preparedness and safety measures. Military analysts are carefully examining the strategic dimensions of this evolving confrontation. Iran appears to be employing a layered strategy, combining conventional military assets with proxy networks capable of applying pressure across multiple fronts. This approach allows Tehran to extend its influence while complicating response options for adversaries. On the other side, the United States and Israel are leveraging advanced surveillance systems, intelligence networks, and precision strike capabilities to counter perceived threats while maintaining deterrence. Experts warn that such complex interactions increase the risk of unintended escalation. A single miscalculated strike, misidentified aircraft, or miscommunication between military units could quickly trigger a broader confrontation. In a region already filled with overlapping interests and rivalries, even minor incidents can have outsized consequences. A notable development on the diplomatic front involves expressions of concern from several Gulf states. Officials have indicated frustration over limited coordination and advance notice regarding certain military actions conducted near their territories. These tensions highlight the delicate balance between security cooperation and national sovereignty. As regional players navigate these pressures, alliances may shift in response to evolving security dynamics. Global organizations continue to monitor the situation closely. Calls for humanitarian corridors, ceasefire discussions, and de-escalation measures reflect growing concern about the broader implications of prolonged conflict. However, implementing such initiatives requires cooperation among parties with deeply entrenched strategic objectives. As day 7 draws to a close, the conflict shows no clear sign of immediate resolution. Military operations persist, diplomatic negotiations remain fragile, and civilians continue to navigate an environment defined by uncertainty. The confrontation has moved far beyond isolated incidents, transforming into a regional crisis with global ramifications. The key question now is whether current hostilities will stabilize through diplomatic efforts or intensify through continued retaliation. The trajectory of this conflict will shape regional security, international relations, and global economic stability in the weeks ahead. For millions of people watching events unfold, the hope remains that dialogue can prevail before further escalation reshapes the geopolitical landscape. Only the coming days will reveal whether this volatile situation moves toward containment or deeper crisis. Until then, the world remains on edge, closely monitoring every development as history continues to unfold in real time.